For today's lesson, I'm going to explain the conjugation of the verb mentir, which is Spanish for to lie. Going to explain the conjugation of this verb into the imperfect subjunctive. Like in my other videos explaining conjugations of verbs into the imperfect subjunctive, we need to start with the ellos, ellas, ustedes preterite. I can't explain how important it is that you know the ellos, ellas, ustedes preterite of these verbs. Without it, we cannot create the imperfect subjunctive. In this example, mentir, I chose mentir because it's an example of an IR verb that in the present tense of the indicative, it is a stem changing verb. The E will go to IE. Again, in the present tense indicative, it would be yo miento. So it is a boot in the present tense indicative. Okay? Because it is a boot in the present tense indicative, yo miento, tú mientes, él miente, nosotros mentimos, vosotros mentís, ellos, ellas, ustedes mienten. That means that when you conjugate it into the preterite, it's going to have a stem change, a different one in the, what I like to tell my students, the basement or the slipper of the conjugation box, which is the third person singular and the third person plural. So the preterite conjugation, because it does have a stem change, is now going to be ellos mintieron. Okay, and again, there's your stem change. That E turned into an I because it is an IR boot verb in the present tense. And boot verbs, IRs in the present tense, do this in the preterite conjugation. The ellos, that E turns into an I. Ellos mintieron. Okay? We need to know that because this is what we use to create the imperfect subjunctive. Once we know this, we can then say goodbye to Ron, as we've learned in our other videos, and we have now our stem to create the imperfect subjunctive of mentir, que yo mintiera, the ra endings, and then from there, que tú mintieras, again the ra ending, in this case ras, in que ella mintiera, first singular, third singular, same spelling. Then we get to the plural side of the conjugation. It becomes que nosotros mintie, action over the E, and then ramos. Again, that action is part of this ending. Okay, so que nosotros mintiéramos. And que vosotros, again, you apply the imperfect subjunctive stem of this verb, mentieras, que vosotros mintierais. Y to conclude the conjugation of this verb in the imperfect subjunctive, que ellos, que ellas, que ustedes mintieran. Again, the reason I chose this verb, it's important, is that it is an IR, stem changing verb in the present tense. The fact that it is in the present tense tells us that in the preterite it is a slipper, or what I like to tell my students, a basement verb, meaning that E in this case is going to change into an I in the ellos, ellas, ustedes preterite conjugation and in the el, ella, usted preterite conjugation. That's how we get the stem mintie, which then it is applied, because we said goodbye to Ron, which then is applied to the imperfect of the subjunctive conjugation, and you can see it applied throughout the conjugation. Just to use a different color, here is the stem from the preterites ellos, ellas, ustedes of mentir.